Hey everyone, GM Rex here, and this is Wrestle Talk Saturday. So, I was going to talk more about the Cruiserweight Classic, and I will get to that. I wanted to explain maybe a little more about why I wasn't exactly thrilled about Moose signing with TNA, or at least being in TNA for the time being. Excuse me, I'm very tired. Me and Keith, the unpaid intern, actually went out for a walk downtown Fitchburg, hunting Pokemon and Pokemon Go. Didn't really have too much luck in terms of finding new Pokemon, just a few like bug types, and mostly we just hit up a bunch of Pokestops and got tons of items. And I actually ran into a friend I used to know back in the day, and he was playing it too, so hopefully we're going to get together at some point and go on some of these walks together, playing Pokemon Go. But anyways, yeah, I sidetracked for a second there. My problem with Moose being in TNA was the fact that the reason he didn't get to go to WWE, like the reason WWE wouldn't have been a good fit for him, was because was the fact that he was in Ring of Honor for a reason, and that reason was to work against so many different styles and gain experience. Now, he's worked with some various styles, that's true, but I don't think he was big enough to jump over to either TNA or WWE yet. I feel like he needed a little more seasoning before jumping over to one of the bigger brands. Then, I don't like seeing Ring of Honor talent jump ship to TNA. It's just not a good fit. Obviously, some people have been an exception to the rule. But a lot of those people are actually in WWE right now as we speak. Some examples are Austin Aries, Samoa Joe. Who else is there? Well, AJ Styles, I think, was in TNA before Ring of Honor. I think TNA came out first. I don't know. I mean, I look at it this way. WWE is still WWE. Or, you know, WWF, if you want to be more more like correct about it, more OCD, because it's really just the WWF. Originally, it was, excuse me, the WWF. And it got shortened to WWF, and then the World Wildlife Fund and them were going after each other for the longest time, so they just went to WWE. So WWE has always been. TNA is like the WCW, and Ring of Honor is like ECW. So we get the three major companies in the United States and pretty much the world. I mean, Ring of Honor isn't as global, but ECW wasn't a big global thing anyways. They did a few things here and there, but mostly were based in the US. And that's what TNA is like, and that's what WCW was like. On WWE, they go a little further than that, but for the most part, it's the US I'm talking about. The United States wrestling scene. In Lucha Underground, I can't access that yet. I would love to see it. I hear great things about it. But I just don't have the channel to watch it. So yeah, Moose being in TNA, I feel like there's nobody really there for him to go against. Like, there's no real step up on the ladder for him to go. Like, he's kind of just going to be in that one spot, and I don't really see him moving from it. I mean, when Mike Bennett was talking about bringing somebody in and destroying TNA with him, with, you know, Mike Bennett, I was hoping it was going to be somebody like Matt Taven, his partner in Ring of Honor, when they were the Kingdom. Or, I mean, I don't see Adam Cole jumping ship to TNA anytime soon. Especially now that he's in the Bullet Club, you know. You know, and I mean, Wade Barrett, his real name is Stu Bennett. But I thought maybe he'd come into TNA as like Wade Bennett, and he could be like Mike Bennett's cousin from England. And then he could start kind of like a nexus with Mike Bennett. And then they were going to tear down TNA, you know, like rip apart the ring, beat up Josh Matthews and the Pope, D'Angelo Dinero, beat up the camera guy, you know, just like the Nexus, which was a good angle in 2010. You know, like, I was expecting something like that. And we got Moose. You know, like, I mean, I know, like, Bennett and Wade Barrett, I mean, just those two alone couldn't have done it, but, you know, they could have brought in some other guys and really built a stable. But right now it seems like a tag team. And that's kind of, I mean, bug just flew at me. You know, I just feel like, I don't know, I was very, like, it was very anticlimactic. You know, it was like all this build-up, and it's like a snake firework, you know? You light it up, and it goes up, and then it just burns out. It's like a firework, actually. You know, it's just a firework. It goes up, well, except this is a firework, a dud, I would say. You know, I wasn't shocked. Like, I mean, I was like, I didn't expect Moose, but it's not a good surprise, it's kind of a bad surprise. I am really rambling on about this, and I really want to get to the Cruiserweight Classic. So that's all I got to say about that for right now. How about that brawl at the Wyatt family compound segment on Raw between the New Day and the Wyatt family, battling in a field surrounded by a bunch of old beaten up vehicles and trucks and whatnot. A lot of people were saying it was kind of ripping off the Final Deletion of TNA. Now, this broken Matt Hardy character, I don't know if I've really gotten into it, but I love it. The way he talks, Brother Nero, 'tis the final deletion. What was it? Green beans are, yeah, string beans are a delicacy. Bring them post haste. Just the way Matt Hardy talks. It's over. It's great. It's intriguing. It's not. It's not your typical bitter older brother versus charismatic younger brother kind of thing. I mean, it is, but it just this bitterness and just this beatdown has just made Matt Hardy just absolutely batshit crazy, and it's great. I enjoyed the final deletion, but yeah, as I watched the compound and how they were hyping it up on Raw, you know, it felt like this is just basically doing what TNA just did last week. And, I mean, there are comparisons, because, I mean, I suppose it would have been a bigger, very obvious ripoff if it was like social outcasts go to the Wyatt family compound, because Bo Dallas is Bray Wyatt's younger brother. But that didn't happen. Oh my god, it's kind of tough. And yes, I'm doing this kind of early. That way it's guaranteed. So yeah, there's that. And now on to the Cruiserweight Classic. I know what you're thinking, like, you've already talked about it a lot, and I'm going to talk about it a lot more on these things. Some other interesting competitors I want to shed some light on are Cedric Alexander, who I've seen in Ring of Honor, and I like what he does. TJ Perkins, he was Manic in TNA, and he's had some other characters in other organizations, and I actually really like what he does. Those are two guys I'd like to see do really well. Cedric Alexander was actually on the first episode, and they were saying that his pastor told him to give up his dream of wrestling, so I imagine he's going to go pretty far in the tournament to kind of, you know, build up that story. It's kind of like a no believers you know, kind of like a, I wouldn't say rags to riches, but it's kind of along the lines, like, just like the nobody believed in me kind of thing, and look how far I got. Rich Swann, I've heard great things about him. I haven't seen much about him yet, but hopefully I get to see him sooner rather than later in this tournament. But yeah, there's a lot of competitors in this that I feel are a great fit, and it's also giving exposure to a lot of these people. Like, normally some of these people, you gotta figure out, you gotta Google somebody that's like just been signed to NXT or whatever, then you can find out, oh, they were this guy and they used to have matches with this guy. What's this guy like? Or if you watch a match between somebody that may be in NXT or WWE right now, and, you know, you can look up some of these matches, and if you like the match, you look up other matches. But the Cruiserweight Classic is giving you these chances to see some of these new people that you might not have had a chance to see before. I don't necessarily agree with the tournament format. See, I feel like the Cruiserweight Classic shouldn't be a simple bracket tournament. I feel like it should be a round-robin tournament, which is everyone faces everyone. You know, you win by count-out, you get 1 point. You lose, you get no points. You win by pinfall or submission, it's 2 points, or maybe 3 points for a submission. And, you know, like, they put it in these blocks. The G1 Climax tournament in New Japan Wrestling is a round-robin tournament. They do A block and B block. So, after everyone in their block faces everyone, so a block, let's say a block has 8 guys. One guy in this tournament has to face the other 7. So basically, it's, you know, like, everyone has to face everyone in their block. Whoever has the most points proceeds on to the next part of the tournament. And then you do a bracket. So if we did like A block and B block, like the G1 Climax, the people who scored the most points of A block and B block would face each other, and that would be the winner. The reason I think a round-robin tournament would be a good idea is simply because of the fact that there are so many different styles to the Cruiserweight Classic. It's not just flips. It's submission, it's strong style, it could be high flying, striking, but giving everyone a chance to face other competitors and not just one and done. First of all, it gives this guy more exposure, because there are 4 guys that we won't see again because they're already eliminated. Now, this doesn't give them enough exposure. We don't get to really see what they can do. I mean, they could be put in a match with somebody, and maybe that person doesn't bring out the best in them, so that way they would have more chances to showcase their skills. And it would also keep the tournament going longer, and you might see a match that maybe this guy didn't win his first 2 matches in the round robin tournament, but maybe a 3rd match he wins, but he also puts on a great match because his opponent and him worked so well together. I mean, the only issue, I suppose, with a round-robin tournament would be that WWE would have to pay these guys a lot more. However, I don't know if they're even paying the guys for the Cruiserweight Classic. They could just be, giving them the exposure, which some of these guys, now that they've been eliminated, they don't get good enough exposure. I mean, yeah, these matches are pretty decent time limit, but I mean, they're all given the 20-minute time limit. But they go back and forth, but maybe this guy won't work well with this guy, or this guy just they just don't work well together. But with a round robin tournament, you get a chance to see him really give it their all. It would just really and WWE could pay them with just the exposure. I'm sure they could, because a lot of guys would just like a chance to perform on a WWE platform, and that would just be a much better. I mean, I'm sure people would do it anyways, because that's what it's about. It's not about the money. It's about doing what they love, and also that exposure could lead to maybe they get signed. Or, they could get signed to WWE, or if they don't, this would give them a lot of indie bookings, because indie promoters could really promote that guy. It was like as seen on the Cruiserweight Classic. So, yes, it would go on longer, but I think fans of the Cruiserweight Classic and what it's supposed to be would appreciate it more. But yeah, so it's like one and done, I want to see more about some of these guys that already got eliminated. I think they haven't been given a fair shot, like Arya Davari, Alexander Saez, Clement Patois, and Sean Maluda. Those 4 guys all got eliminated, but they could have they might have had the potential to put on great matches with some of the other competitors. But we won't get to see that because now they're one and done. With 32 guys, though, you'd have to do it 4 blocks. And then I don't know how that would go, but well, I suppose if you put 8 guys in each block, that, 16 plus 16 is 32. So yeah, that would work perfectly. So And then you could do the brackets for the final 4 guys. I mean, that's something to think about. But I don't know how long they want to keep doing the Cruiserweight Classic. But I just feel like some of those guys didn't get enough exposure. Like especially Arya Davari's match with Ho Ho Loon. Like, it was a good match, but I feel like he didn't get enough of a chance to really show what he can do. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. Share your thoughts on all the stuff I've talked about. Like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel, ask questions, and I'll see y'all later.